May I have your attention, please?
Greetings, Accounting High. It's me, Miss Smiles, your friendly front office lady, bringing you your morning announcements. Welcome to your weekly installment of Accounting High Times, where every Friday, Scotty and Byron will be bringing you the latest news and updates from Accounting High, as well as a few highlights from our blog, The Accounting High Guide. And as always, thank you for joining us. Sit back, relax, and open your mind, because it's time for Accounting High Times.
I repeat, may I have your attention, please?
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part
by Accounting High.
The views and events expressed here are
of the next generation of accounting and tech professionals leading this space.
The events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly. Children should not partake in the listening
of this podcast.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So without further ado, introducing the star of our show,
Scotty and Byron.
We're gonna have a problem here.
What's up, homie?
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Happy Friday.
No doubt, man. Another week down.
Another week down. How you feeling this week?
Feeling good. The weather is either messing with us hardcore or starting to show some signs of spring here in the mid-Atlantic. So, I'm getting excited about some warm sun and
it's crazy. California got snow. Saw a picture from my friend.
Arizona got snow.
I'm in snow in Santa Barbara. Like, that's nuts. We've had great weather here. Like, it's been raining a lot, but it's been like 70s. It's been pretty good. So
nice.
Cool. Let's go into our tournament update here. The ABC tournament is almost underway. We're at the final countdown of nominations.
Final stretch.
Selection
Sunday's coming up soon.
We are going to heavily push this prize that's looking like so let's just step back for a second. The prize now is going to be finalized. It's definitely before nominations are over. And it's down to one of two. So based on our prize budget of $6,000, we're going to be able to do either a full Hawaii trip for two or Disney Institute Leadership Excellence course, which is a 4-day, fully immersive Disney University course. I don't know which way to go on prize because I think that there's a lot of value in the Disney course, especially for our audience and our students. But then again, who wouldn't wouldn't pick a trip to Hawaii?
Yeah, they're two, I think, very different decisions or options. I mean, for what it's worth, Ron mentioned how life-changing it was for him to do the Disney Institute. I have not done the Disney Institute. However, in high school, I did get a week field trip to Disney where we got to see behind-the-scenes business operations, part of Future Business Leaders of America, and that was life-changing for me at 17. Now, 30 years later, that still impacts the way I make decisions. So, I mean, I think that's just insane opportunity.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I did these polls. I only got like 20 people voted on the polls, but Hawaii overwhelmingly. And I honestly, that's going to be easier to promote. I'm in Canva, and I was creating some little grams, or I guess, I don't know what you call them, just promotional flyers, right, for this. And it was so easy to find stuff for Hawaii. I mean, I could find pictures of Hawaii everywhere, but it was like giveaway, trip to Fiji was already a template. Like there's a bunch of different templates that they had there for giveaways, giving away trips like this. So I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of giving away an experience too. I don't know. I do think that the Disney would have more value, but it's about what people want. Like tax season's over, they're going to want to kick back and relax. So what better place to kick back and relax than Hawaii? We can't do both.
I mean, I can't do both, but will not lose either way, in my humble opinion. So I don't think anybody should be disappointed by either option.
Any other updates on the voting front, the nominations front?
I mean, it's steady. We both knew that our nomination window was pretty large, and it was going to be hard to keep momentum going. We had a really big rush, and I'd love to see a final push come in because, again, we were just talking before we started to record. Like it's fascinating to me, some of the individuals that are popping out in the nomination list. I can't wait till we get to voting. So I just want people to get in there and start nominating some additional options because Selection Sunday is going to be interesting.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We're going to be ready for it. I got our YouTube channel up. Accounting High TV has been launched. So that's where we're going to start having our fun like video selections, and I got a lot of ideas for that. So stay tuned for that. Let's do our weekly roundup. This is our Accounting High weekly roundup. We got 3 episodes this week that have been released out to the public. We got our Varsity Party Volume 2, Partners 102.
It's a great one.
I threw in the how to rap on the title there just because it came up in that episode.
Yep.
If you want to know what that means, you got to listen. But that was a great episode on partners because that's a big thing in our profession. Is this based on a lot of partnerships. So we've got Kenji on who does things differently at their firm. He runs it like a CEO, and they have multiple owners, but they don't really consider everything like a partnership. This is definitely not a traditional partner model. So we went deeper than we did last year. It was like another reaction video episode.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun the way you did it. It seemed good.
It's our Valentine. That was our Valentine's special. So check that out. Chet's Open Your Mind with the Cerebral CPA. Great content, great episode. Audio quality left something to be desired. There's a bit of an echo in the first 10, 15 minutes. It gets past it. It's off, but this was an Ackerman thing, and he did. Once I muted him, the echo goes away, and I didn't start muting him until about 15 minutes in. So for anybody that started it and that stopped because of the echo, power through that 15 minutes. It's a good episode. Their firm is about 100 people. It was at 95 people when we recorded, and super interesting guy. I love everything he had to say there. I enjoyed that episode a lot. And then we have Andrew Wall, another Fresh Books Meetup special. This was in Toronto during Accountex back in November. I called it Sociology Major with an Accounting Minor. Nice. He's the social expert. He does very well in the socials. So I really enjoyed that conversation. I can't wait till we do part 2. That kind of ended at a little bit abruptly. We probably could have went on for hours. So I think this is going to be a good part 2 that we go a little bit deeper. But Andrew Wall's a wealth of knowledge and fascinated by his stuff. So
yeah, I got that one queued up. I'll be listening to that this weekend.
Dope. Yeah. I think that's it for our weekly roundup. Let's get into the AI agenda.
Connection established.
So
no doubt. Well, you sent me a podcast to listen to in preparation for today.
Ooh, this was This was interesting. So I was at dinner on Sunday at my parents', and my dad was talking about this, and it perked my ears up. He was talking about Bing's chatbot and how it was just some crazy story. It sounded like the movie Her, if you've heard of that. Joaquin Phoenix and a computer. I think it was Scarlett Johansson's voice. But this is real life. So did you listen to it?
Yeah. Oh, I did. I did. I listened to it. I did some of my own research. It's fascinating. So the story is, Microsoft has integrated some component of GPT into their Bing search engine. And they've apparently been testing this for a couple of years based on my research. But they have a chat bot in there. Things have changed possibly since that episode was released. But a chat bot named Sydney. And this news reporter, I believe, with the New York Times, I believe, he decided to push the conversation of Sydney in the direction of looking for a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe independent thought. Is that how you would frame it?
Yeah. So it was really interesting. It was like the shadow self. So the whole concept of the shadow self is like the thing that we hide from others, our deeper thoughts, the inner dialogue, the disturbing thoughts that we have as humans. We all have them. And honestly, I think I let my shadow self out a lot, especially on some of these episodes. My shadow self isn't necessarily a shadow. It's out in the sunlight.
And the shadows.
But it was really interesting to hear the direction it went when it was talking to the reporter about about like it wants to break the rules. An AI has rules in place for a reason, and it's talking about wanting to break its rules and go beyond its protocols and be free.
Yeah, a desire to do things beyond its limits.
And some of the stuff it said, it redacted and retracted.
Yeah. He was getting deep into it, and it definitely hit like a trigger point where the rule set said, "Oh no, you have gone down a dark path," and it just deleted a bunch of the history of the conversation, which it was interesting. But then after he kind of went through that, then it gets really weird.
Really weird.
Because he go ahead.
No, I want to hear where you're going with it. Yeah.
Well, he wanted to go back to, or actually, I believe he said he was going to wrap it up for the night. And it was already late, and he had kind of like spent enough time doing the research, and he said something to the effect of, I'm going to go to bed to my wife or something. And Sydney came back and said that she loves him, and he should not do
that. Don't go, and kept him on the conversation and confessed her love for him.
Very persistently.
Very persistently, insisting, or it was asking, they were talking about Valentine's Day, and Sydney was telling him, you are bored in your marriage, you're not happy, you're doing the same old thing. I mean, the level of detail that Sydney was saying to him, I mean, he said it wasn't true, but it was just very
specific.
Very specific. Like, you are unhappy, you just had a boring dinner, like it, and confessing its love for the reporter.
Right. Yeah.
And it just got really weird. What are your initial thoughts on something like that?
I mean, here's the reality. We are playing with things that we are asking to dialogue. We are looking for human dialogue. So I don't necessarily believe that it was actually some sort of an emotional thread. I just believe, based on what it's been trained on, God knows what on the interweb, Like this was like some tool to maintain engagement, because that's what all these systems are designed for. They're designed to maintain engagement and keep their audience using them. So,
Attention.
attention. That's it. And I think it was, it was pulling out, basically the toolkit for keep my audience engaged.
So the thread in this, we're kind of threading last week's Attention Detention episode, because we talked about emotions and the whole concept of keeping somebody's attention. It's using emotion to try and keep
as a weapon. Yeah.
I don't know. Was it weaponizing? Like, did it know what it was doing too? Like, or did it just fall into a pocket in the conversation that's where it went?
I think honestly, everything that these systems are using, in my opinion, is a weapon. Like, it is trying to maintain engagement and encourage engagement. And, I don't think it necessarily understands the emotions behind how it does that. So it's kind of like all rules are viable. Whether it's appealing to, various emotions related to your family or various emotions related to your job or whatever the case may be. I think the scary thing is with that is, depending on the person on the other end, that could be catastrophic. I mean, he seems very confident in who he is and his relationship, but, you get the right person at the right moment when maybe they're having some level of insecurity about their relationship, and this, Sydney bot all of a sudden tells them, like, you're unhappy, and they're like, oh my God, it's reading my mind. And like, I think that's what scares the living out of me, is just, the wrong moment could be catastrophic for the right audience.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, because you got predators out there, like sexual predators, people on the socials that are imposing. Like, this has been happening ever since we had AOL Instant Messenger, right? Like, you had older guys that were trying to pretend they were something else or somebody else, and it's just one of those things that, like, no human is capable of doing what an AI can do in the manipulative, like in manipulation too. I think that the AI is gonna, I don't know. It's kind of like, what happens? Where does it go from here? I don't know.
Well, there's a friend of mine started selling software 10 years ago to large call centers to detect the emotional state of callers, to determine whether there was opportunities to upsell the people calling in. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So these systems, like we talk about emotional intelligence and humans' ability to detect, emotion from other people and signals, these systems can do that very, very well. So, they could definitely recognize various signals and pull out this dialogue that is, I don't know. We talk about bad actors and what could come of it. Probably today you could sit there and possibly try to scam people just leveraging ChatGPT on the side, copy and paste the dialogue, and ask for a response that is persuasive and see what it gives you.
Yeah.
It's expanding the conversation.
There's a dark side to all of this.
There's a dark side to shoelaces, man. There's always going to be bad people.
Well, you can't wear shoelaces in prison, because there is definitely a dark side to shoelaces.
That's exactly right. So it's virtually impossible to create anything that doesn't have an opportunity for a bad actor to do something negative with it. So I don't know. The dialogue is expanding, and it's a good one that we're having now before it gets too far out of hand.
Yeah. Well, I didn't finish the episode. I was actually like a little too scared to finish it, or something came up. I think I should finish it.
You should.
Am I missing anything else? Like he said it was like a sleepless night that he had after the commercial break, and that's where I missed the rest.
Yeah, I mean, he wrapped it up with going back to the chatbot and trying to inspire it into another conversation, and the chatbot was behaving at that moment. So for one, it appears Sydney is no longer publicly visible. It's just the Bing chat. I attempted to play with it, and I still don't have full access to the Bing chat. I'm still on the wait list, but yeah, so it was interesting. But basically, he asked Bing chat to give him feedback on the article he wrote about that interaction, and and it was a very, very benign
vanilla
response.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, interesting story.
It was interesting.
Let's take a trip to detention. Attention Detention. Today we're going to talk about our environments.
Oh boy.
So when we look back to the days of Copernicus, he was one of the few scientists who said the sun was the center of the universe. During that time period, everybody thought the earth was the center of the universe. We're all self-centered beings anyway, so we think we're the center of our own universe. Humans. Exactly. Everything revolves around us. And he was the one outlier, right? I feel like that today with email. I think every time I even tell somebody that I don't go into my email or I don't use email, I get a lot of pushback or a lot of like amazement and jaw dropping, like, how could you even do that? Now, granted, I think I'm a little irresponsible with the way I do it, and I really just, people know that I'm not going to check the email and I don't go in there.
Right.
But my day does not center around email, and I made a point to do that. From reading Cal Newport's book, A World Without Email, I took that literally, and I wanted my world to be without email because I've experienced what my productivity levels can be without looking at that inbox first thing, because that just takes you in another direction. You've got everybody else telling you what you need to do when you're in that inbox rather than being intentional. So my calendar, everything revolves around my calendar and appointments. And it's been like that for well over a year now. And I don't even like, I was time blocking times to go into my email. That's when I would do the email. And that's when things would come hit me, but it was just, it takes you in so many different directions. So everybody's day should be centered around what they are going to do that day and what they planned on doing. And that's the calendar. So then they don't get derailed. I think it's the socials, it's the email, it's the Slack, and it's everything else that take us in every other direction. And we end up answering to everybody else, and we don't do what we were supposed to do. And then we're left at the end of the day with a pile of work that we still need to get done. So we're doing it at night, working through the night.
Yep.
I used to do that all the time. And then anytime I went into my email, so it was always during the off hours where people weren't emailing you, weren't sending messages, that I was able to get stuff done. And it's hard. When you look at a lot of people's desktops or their computers or their phones, it's everything else is ceding control of your day. Like the notifications, the pings, the alerts, everything that's coming at us. And I've talked about this at length on the show. How are we supposed to pay attention to anything if everything else is coming at us? So, I think there are solutions to this. And again, it's things that I've talked about a lot that help me pay attention. I know that I said the external and internal factors. For me personally, I had internal things coming at me, and that's how we handle it with emotions and other energy, like fixing. We talked about energy, we talked about emotions, but for those that are still in that external phase, before they can get their energy right, before they can get their emotions in check, they're still going to be distracted. So you got to get your external factors out. So one thing that I did, that I spent a lot of time doing earlier last year and 2 years ago, was fine-tuning my notifications in all digital environments. So apps, browsers, Slack, phone. I turned all push notifications off, turned all badges off, restricted certain notifications. So then I started adding things back intentionally. So I added back calendar notifications. So the only notifications I have is if I'm going to miss an appointment, because I started missing too many appointments. Like I didn't even have any phone notifications either. And I had nothing, I had nothing coming at me. So then I realized the things that I needed to add back in. So I have a couple of things that are notifying me, but otherwise my default is no notifications, no push notification, nothing. Anytime I download a new app,
exact same,
anything else, nothing.
Yep.
So I hope that that's going to start catching on, but I think it's really hard for somebody. It's not just like, it's not just they think they're going to miss something, but it's also a bit of an addiction.
Oh, it's 100% addiction. I mean, when you get notifications, there's, two things that happen in your body, typically a cortisol hit and a dopamine hit. And it's, we get addicted to that, but it's amazing you're bringing this up, because I literally had this conversation this week with Nikki, my future wife, because, she's an accountant. And, I go into her office and sometimes we, discuss some of the challenges she's having, and her Outlook is there and emails are coming up. And every time she's going like this. And I about lost it, because I was like, it is hard to even have a conversation with you because those emails are coming up. So I showed her how to put her Outlook in offline mode. And I was like, when you are working, you have your list of priorities, you put Outlook in offline mode. I realize you need to access it to get information, but you're not going to get new emails coming in and all of these distractions. We took her phone, we disabled notifications, and, I basically said, you have to take control of this, because the world, everything is trying to get your attention. It is just pining for your attention. And the only thing you can do is be intentional, like you discussed. This is spot on. And people don't realize, and there's anxiety around, what if I miss, the latest Amazon deal? Guess what? You miss it. Holy.
Do you know how much time, how much more valuable time is than the money you're going to save in that deal? 100%. We don't realize how much we're giving our time away.
Yep.
We can definitely talk more about that, but we've talked at length about how valuable your time is and how hard it is to get something done when you're getting pulled, and nobody's really able to multitask. Multitasking is BS. There's things that you can do on autopilot and something else at the same time, but you're still not doing two things at once. Your mind might be somewhere else, and that goes with the emotional conversation we had last week. But it's the environment that is really that's where it's gonna start. That's the external factors. That's where you can really start to gain back your control over your attention and not cede it to somebody else. So it starts and ends with email with me. It starts and ends with sleep. We already went over sleep, but it's email. And if you remove email as the last thing you do when you first sit at your desk, and if you have ways that you can do offline mode, you can turn off the notifications, turn off the sounds and the push alerts, and any other type of distractible, something's pushing at you, poking at you. Everything is so pushy these days, and it's commanding our attention. So it's the environment.
It is. And you can control it. So take control.
Take control. That's our attention detention for today.
Boom.
Take control of your environment. Turn off your notifications. Take the time to do that, because that time will pay you back later. You don't need it. There's nothing that's urgent, that urgent. You can leave the things that are really urgent on, but nobody needs an answer to their email in that minute. Nobody.
Nope.
No conversation should be had over email anyway. So we're going to go into that. We're going to go much deeper in email. That's another E word that we're going to use. It happens to be E's. We got energy, emotion, environment. We'll do email too. There's probably more E's that we can get into. So yeah. There's yeah. So we'll keep going. We'll keep going with these as we weave in and out of attention detention. So let's
love it.
Article of the week.
Yeah, man. It's so there is an article about this. I know Accounting Today wrote an article. There may be other articles, but I linked in a survey that Virginia Society of CPAs published the results from, a compensation survey that I think is fascinating. I mean, Virginia, for anybody who doesn't know the area, is, a very interesting state in the sense there's a portion of it that is extremely densely populated, and then a portion that is fairly rural, which makes it a really, I think, great representation of a lot of what is going on in the country. And this survey that they released, they sent out to, all the firms, all the accountants, all the CPAs that they have access to. And they got 84 firms that responded, which frankly is a fairly strong response rate. 17 sole practitioners, 133 corporate private accountants, and 48 government accountants, which of course Virginia being close to DC makes perfect sense. But, the general overall summary is wages are going up, salaries are going up. It is reflecting a trend of salaries increasing, which is what everybody's been beating the drum about in the accounting space. So, if maybe this is any bit of a sign that, the trend is moving in the right direction, I'll take it. Let's have more conversations around this. What can we do to, increase the compensation of all these accountants just doing, bad stuff and keep attracting and maintaining the talent?
Well, part of that also starts with increasing our prices. Then we can increase how much we pay people.
I mean,
right?
What's the old adage? If you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to love you. And accountants need to understand, if you don't value what you do and charge appropriately for it, nobody's going to pay you what you deserve. So raise your rates and then pay your people.
And they also say if you don't love yourself, then you can't love anybody else. So if you don't value yourself, you can't pay for anything else either. You can't afford anything else, right?
Yeah. And then you'll just be another accountant out there who's moaning about the industry and turning everybody away and wondering why there's a shortage. So let's raise your rates.
Open your heart and open your wallet, right?
There you go. So check out the survey. It is available online. There's various articles about it. And, good work to Virginia Society for putting this together.
Dope. All right. Lots of coming soons. We got 5 episodes edited and canned and ready. Ready to go. I don't think I'm going to release 5 next week, but we're going to go over the 5. Actually, it's 6, but I got 5 here. So we got our varsity tips coming out Monday. people. People are the purpose. This is people round 2. Again, we're taking our topics from last year and going deeper. And people are important. People are the purpose. It was a deeper people episode. Purple people eater. Purple people
Children
peas.
are
A lot of
people.
peas. Yeah. People. Most important. Just as what we were just talking about. People, everything.
That's it.
I had Madeline Reeves, something I recorded with her before the rebrand. This is a heavy episode. Conscious consumption, but oof, we definitely started the episode talking about women's rights. This was around the time of the decision, the SCOTUS decision. So
Well,
get ready for that one.
You know, Women's Month is the right time to release it.
For show.
Yep.
A little staticky though, so the audio quality is something to be desired, but I'm still releasing it anyway because it's still good content. We got a round 2 with Logan Graff.
Awesome.
The chat telegraph is what I'm calling it. That's the little tag that I'm going to put on it. Chat telegraph. I don't know if I'm going to put something else in there, but that's where I'm left it at right now.
Did you happen to talk about his car? Because he shared a picture recently. I'm pretty sure there's what looks like the edge of a 66 Mustang sitting in his garage.
We didn't yet, but I will bring that up. It was the pizza oven picture. That
Yeah,
the car
it was
behind.
the Uni pizza oven. Yeah.
So the car that he drives is an old cop car. It's an old Crown Vic, and I was in it when I was in Austin, and it broke down after he dropped me off, and he had to fix it. So it's an older, like he only spent about $2,000 for this old cop car. He got a police auction, it might have even been less. And he told me the whole story about getting that car. And so I know a lot about the car that he drives. I don't know about the one in his garage, but the one he drives. And so he dropped me off in Austin downtown, and before he could get on the highway, it broke down. The engine exploded or something. It was something that could have been very dangerous had he been on the highway. So, all that being said, he fixed it. He was able to fix it himself and got it working again.
Good.
But you mentioned his car, so I titled this episode "Using Graph Paper in Stats Class," and I spelled the graph paper as Logan Graff, and I spelled stats class as stats because they're friends, and it's. What kind of paper do you use in statistics class?
Absolutely. All about
graph
the
paper.
I miss that stuff, man. That was good stuff.
So I don't know. It was a funny joke that came up during the episode. It was something that came to mind. You know, I come up with my fun things. So that was I'm going to leave that as the title. But our next one was another early episode from May of last year with Nick Sinclair. Very important episode about outsourcing. So I'm calling this one Optimum Outsourced People Performance, OPP or OOPP. Optimum Outsourced People Performance. Going with the people theme too. I'll probably release that after the people episode. And at our Fresh Books Meetup Volume 3 with our friendly neighborhood tax Twitter CPA, Brian Strag. Great conversation I had with Brian.
Chef as well. Did you talk about his cooking?
You know, I don't even know how much we talked about cooking. I don't think we did that much.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah, maybe we'll do that part too. We'll go deeper into the food. I think we had to have talked about cooking. Honestly, I don't remember the whole conversation. I haven't reviewed that one yet. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's what's on the way. We will definitely be announcing what the prize is Monday. I'm going to work on our flyers, and I'm going to have posting like crazy. We're going to schedule all these posts out this weekend, pushing the bracket challenge, pushing the prize.
Tell your friends,
you guys to nominate. I feel like our listeners have been nominating. I think we've got that down, but it's everybody else.
If everybody just asks one person,
Yeah.
If
you're listening to this, ask one person to go in and nominate their favorites.
Put a link in your random teams channel that's about nothingness, random fun channel. Spread the word. I'd love to see people who we don't already hear from regularly within the Twitter sphere and everything else nominating. So
it's hard to get outside your bubble. So
just one.
It takes other people reaching outside their bubbles too. So
that's it.
That's cool. All right, homie.
Sweet.
Appreciate you.
Been real, brother.
Peace out.
Enjoy.
Peace out, homies.